Clare Balding, welcome to the Sports Agents.
Thank you very much, Gabby Logan. I'm thrilled to be here.
You're here not as a co-host today, because Mark unfortunately
don't elevate me to a position I do not deserve.
No, special guest, special
Thank you.
star guest, because let's explain where we are exactly and which building we're in.
Okay, we're in Dock 10 in Salford, which, have you noticed, has had a makeover. And this floor is now salmon pink, and the floor where our dressing rooms are...
Olive green.
Olive green. Bold.
Yeah, well,
don't you think?
I've noticed because I'm here every week, Claire, doing Match of the Day.
Okay, sorry. I haven't been for a year.
and this is where Sports Personality has been hosted for the last 5 years, since COVID, because we haven't been out in those big arenas. And it's slightly changed the way things happen over the 2 days for us, hasn't it, in terms of the rehearsals and the time we spend here. But we still, I think, would surprise people how much work goes on behind the scenes before we actually go on air at 7 o'clock on Thursday night.
Oh, yeah, loads. And you sort of have to... I've just spent the last, couple of days watching back Rory McIlroy's win in the Masters, because I watched it at the time. I'm a massive golf fan, but I'm interviewing him. And there were just little things I wanted to just watch almost without commentary to see if I noticed things that I want to know what he remembers of that, and how close he was to winning it outright, how then it looked like he'd thrown it away, then he gets into the playoff, and then it's him against Justin Rose. And I just think, Rory is one of our contenders. The other one I'm interviewing is Luke Littler. He's not with us because obviously the World Championships have started and he's at Ali Pali. So I guess he's joining us from there. Do you think with loads of people in fancy dress?
No, I've heard he's somewhere in the northwest joining us.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, but we'll probably get that confirmed a little bit later today.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's maybe not go into the logistics of all of that, because there are always some interesting kind of decisions by people, aren't there, whether or not to come on the night. Sometimes competition's restricting them. Lando Norris is a late entry, if you like. I think there was a lot pending on his final race.
Whether he won the world title or not.
Yeah, and this is the week he gets off of the year, in the whole year.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to expect him to be in Salford. But everybody else will be on site.
Who are you interviewing?
So I'm interviewing Chloe Kelly.
Lovely.
And Ellie Kildunn.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So the other
home
person...
run, both won.
Yeah, is Hannah Hampton.
Yes.
And Lando, who we're not sure just yet how that's all going to work.
Okay.
So they're the six we've just
But we've had
mentioned.
some fun interviews down the line in years gone by, and indeed some fun trophy presentations, because Andy Murray always found it difficult to make it to...
Because he was always somewhere lovely like Florida.
He was in Miami. He was usually in Miami doing his strength training. So we've had some moments there. But then he did attend the year that they won Team of the Year for Davis Cup.
Because he's a team guy. He's a team guy.
Exactly. And I think the same is true of Rory McIlroy. And I think that's why he's definitely coming, because the European Ryder Cup team is up as well.
Andy, we should just say, 1 year there was the famous time where he was doing his holding the trophy, thanking everybody for the year he just had as he just won, and a lady walked behind him without her bikini top on.
Indeed. That was, and it was. I think that was before the days where you could rewind the telly. Thank God. And then the other time was Lennox Lewis was presenting him the trophy.
That's right. Yeah.
And didn't. So Andy had to say, "Do you want to give it to me?" But Andy's the only person who's won it 3 times.
Yeah, he's the record holder, isn't he? And we always enjoyed it when he did come that year. It was great having him here. So we've kind of gone through the 6 there that will be, and you've given Rory pretty much, the citation there. So maybe to balance things out, we should probably talk through the 6.
We will.
Total.
Let's talk through. So let's start. You talk me through Hannah Hampton, Chloe Kelly, Ellie Kildunn.
So Hannah Hampton, let's start with Hannah, because we know the story of Hannah's tournament at the Euros and her incredible saves that through the tournament managed to get England to the next round, and just really heroic goalkeeping. But I think there's a lot more to Hannah than just that tournament. And we saw Mary Earps win Sports Personality of the Year a couple of years ago for her performances in the World Cup, and also her performances off the football pitch in terms of her campaigning with Nike. And she had a real year, didn't she, where she transcended her sport. And actually the story of Hannah getting into this shirt has involved Mary, and Mary this year has spoken about being sidelined for Hannah, and that was a bold decision by Serena Wiegmann when you look back and think about it. But obviously,
but also struck in the film that we'll show in the programme, both Hannah and Chloe Kelly talk about the fact that they fell out of love with the game, and in both senses there's that coming back into it and then having the year of all years. Do you have any concerns at all about that becoming a more common theme, or is it just a fact of life?
Maybe it's the journey of
really...
women's sport as well,
Yeah.
because I think it is still so much in its infancy, professional women's sport, isn't it? And balancing everything in life, social media, pressures outside, how you deal with what Hannah Hampton will focus on first. The disappointment for her was that she was told to kind of, change a few things about the way she was behaving in camp, and she alluded to this in our film, didn't she? And that made her very upset, and her mum was the one who pushed her kind of to keep going in the sport, and she had to take a good look at herself, didn't she? And I think that's really hard for anybody in life, but I think sport is so cruel, isn't it, in terms of, you are exposed, and people talk, and when there's a vacuum they fill it with nonsense sometimes, and so she's had to ride through those kinds of stories and come through it, being a hero on the pitch but also growing as a person off it. And Chloe, as you mentioned there, she almost was this time last year not playing football for Manchester City. Arsenal gave her a chance. She said, come and play in the new year. And she had to really perform for a few months there to get herself back in contention with England. So, and then wins, obviously, a Champions League, with Arsenal that season, and goes on to be the hero again in a Euros, which to have that experience twice and to step up and, in her own style, take that hitch-kick penalty and send, people going crazy all over sports, all over the place. Actually, I noticed.
But I was in London and I was at the theatre, and it went. This is for the semi-final, and it went to extra time. And we were driving back. I said to Alice, let's not take the bus, which is normally what I like to do, or the tube. But let's...
She doesn't really, but she's saying that to be a woman of the people.
No, I actually do. It's one of the early dates when I said, we can take the night bus home, and Alice said, absolutely not. I was like, but I do in the day. I love taking the bus. You get a really good view if you're top floor. Anyway, never mind. So we hopped in an Uber because I wanted to watch it on my phone. And there's quite a delay. And we heard this massive roar from one of the pubs in the Victoria area. And I thought, oh my God, we definitely just scored. And then, of course, it's ages before it comes through. And then it was the rebound penalty. It was that one. And I thought, this is so different to hear a really big roar from a pub in London for women's sport. That felt so gorgeous. And then actually, I think her style, Chloe Kelly, and everything about her elevates her, and that is why people, they know her. She's different, and she was crucial.
Yeah, and she did have that moment, as you alluded to as well, where she was thinking this could be it, at City when things weren't going right. And there was a really lovely line actually in her VT that I've seen just a bit earlier today about how she had to kind of have a talk with herself whether it was time to move on and do something else, or was she going to give herself kind of one more go, and that she's more proud almost of her as what she's done off the pitch as a person, even though football is really important to her. And I think it's getting that balance for any sports person is so important. So they're my two football well, they're not mine actually, they're two of the football six. And then the other person I'm interviewing is Ellie Kildunn, who obviously, she didn't actually get the World Player of the Year nomination this year. That was Meg Jones from the Red Roses. However, her Six Nations performance was phenomenal. She has been World Player of the Year the year before, but also I think what she does off the pitch, how she has attracted so many fans to the game. She is responsible for, her and Meg Jones together responsible for the kind of sale of cowboy hats going through the roof. She's just got so much joy.
And the way she celebrates, the whole lasso thing. The fact that she's so distinctive in the way she plays, but also how she looks, her speed, her dynamism on the pitch, and she plays with pure joy.
Yeah, she's so talented. She's a real athlete. She could probably have played 4 or 5 different sports, I think, in terms of her physical attributes. She's just such a great athlete, so quick. And England lost her in the middle of that tournament because of concussion, and so there was a sliding doors moment there. What if, because England have got such strength in depth, that had they lost her for the rest of the tournament, there was always somebody ready, going to step up and take her place. But it felt it would have been a real injustice to what she has done for the sport in the last couple of years, I think, in terms of transcending it and people knowing the name, for her not to have had that moment with that team, because they are they're nominated for Team of the Year. They are there's a togetherness there that's incredible. You look like you're going to cry, but I think it's probably a cough.
Because she knows me so well. And then you finish the sentence.
So you've mentioned Rory, then there are 2 more.
Yeah, exactly. So we got a 50-50 split on the nominations. So we got 3 men Luke Littler, who's the youngest on the list, still only 18, isn't he? Since last year, when he finished top 3 and won Young Sports Personality of the Year, he went on to win the World Championships, became number 1 in the world, loads of victories on the circuit. And again, he's one of those people who definitely reaches outside the month in which darts is high profile. He's bigger than that. And so he's got so many kids playing darts and using it to help their arithmetic in particular. I mean, he's interesting. He's still, I think, and I will ask him this, his parents give him a weekly allowance. It's only 50 quid. He's earned millions already. And he is a phenomenal talent, but it's come so fast. And he seems to be just the same. So he's really interesting, really talented.
He got into a bit of trouble, didn't he, recently? Well, he didn't personally, but Manchester United fans didn't like it that he was given away tickets by the club. It's not his fault.
No, he's a big Manchester United fan, isn't he?
Yeah,
and actually, he's got a connection with Lando Norris, because Lando took him on a hot lap around Silverstone.
Okay.
Drove him, yeah. So Lando Norris, who just recently needed to finish on the podium in Abu Dhabi to win the world title, did that. And it was so lovely. The interviews he gave afterwards, he was so overwhelmed with emotion. And I loved that. And I think
the polar opposite to Max Verstappen as well.
Yeah, who is Ice King, isn't he? And I love Lando Norris. I think he's a really, you feel very connected to him. And I think his parents have been a massive part of that. His mum always talks about all the kids. I mean, they're massively proud of Lando as well, but it's not like he's special. But he came through go-karting in this country. Again, he's pretty young. He's only in his 20s. And he made it happen against somebody who's pretty ruthless in Verstappen. And I think, one of the lines I was listening to the 5 Live commentary, which was absolutely brilliant, and Damon Hill was part of it. And Damon said that Lando's story has made him fall back in love with Formula One, and he wanted to be there to witness it. And Lando's mum came over because Damon was standing there and gave the most lovely interview. And you just realise this, with so many sports people, they achieve the ultimate dream. And yes, it's important to them, but actually more than that, it's the people they're doing it for. And it's when Lando talked about his parents and his siblings that he got emotional. And that, I think, is probably true for Rory McIlroy more than anyone, because it's taken such a long time to complete the Grand Slam. You compare his story and his roller coaster of a career with those on the list that have succeeded and done so young. Yes, Rory had huge success as a youngster. Yes, he was breaking course records at the age of 16 and was predicted to be a major winner, a multiple major winner. But it's taken him all this time to win the Masters at Augusta, to complete the Grand Slam, to then have that wonderful celebration at the Irish Open, to then be part of the European Ryder Cup team. And he's a very emotional guy. You see it all with Rory. He is... And he attracts a lot of attention, some of it negative, because of that. And dealing with the crowd and the abuse that he gets, particularly on American soil, and ramp that up by a million at the Ryder Cup. I think he's pretty sensational. It reminds me a bit of when AP McCoy won the Grand National and then won Sports Personality of the Year. It was as much a Lifetime Achievement Award as it was a sports personality for that year. And I sort of feel the same about Rory McIlroy. I kind of think there's everything he's ever done in his career topped off by what he's done this year.
And I should say at the very beginning, so where we are, we're in Salford. And the stage is not too far away from where we are. In the room on the night, I think he will have an amazing reception, actually, because I think it's rare that people get a chance to see him. These golfers are out on the course all year round, aren't they? They're playing kind of 50 weeks of the year. They're flogging themselves, flying all over the place. So people don't get to see, whereas you go to a football match and you do get to see, those people, and you see them around the place. But I think golfers are quite
and I think
it's quite rare.
I think it's so fascinating. And you and I watch a lot of different sports. We cover a lot of different things. When you see somebody take a penalty, save a penalty, throw 180 or a double to finish off a match, when you see them knowing they have to finish on the podium to win the world title or hole a putt to complete a career Grand Slam, and what they do in training all the time seems so simple, they're so good at it, but add in the emotion, the pressure of that situation, the extreme tension that your brain is going what does it do to the simple action that you are trying to
that you've
complete,
trained and done so many thousands of times
like
before.
you could look at that putt or whatever it is you're doing, that moment, you can do that 99 times out of 100, but stick it in the situation where you're doing it for the biggest dream of your life, and can you complete it under those circumstances? And I find that so interesting. And the psychology of sport for me.
Sadly, though, on the night, our interviews are about 2 minutes long. We don't get to go into any of that, do we? Which and let's give an insight into kind of how the show works, though, because we literally kind of move, as I said there, very quickly, don't we, from one thing to the next. And although it's a 2-hour show, we review the year. So we have a lot of different VTs in there that look back at all the, I'm saying all sports. It's very hard to get every sport in there. But I'd like to look at some of the other sporting moments of the year that have kind of stood out for you outside of our contenders now.
I'm going to go really left field here, and it's not technically a sporting moment, but given that the Strictly Come Dancing final is this weekend, I would like to, in my head, nominate Karen Carney for one of the great performances of the year by a sports person. And although she's a retired footballer, she becomes the first footballer ever to make the final of Strictly. I think what she's done, and again, there's an emotional thing here. She talked about it when she, it was a perfect score. Or did Craig only give her a 9? He might have done, because he's funny like that. But her waltz, where she said, I let myself go, I let myself be vulnerable. And she's talked really interestingly about self-belief and about dealing with criticism. I think there's a lot of what she's brought to Strictly is a sporting mentality. And my God, she's good. And she's so lovely, Kaz. She's such a gorgeous, down-to-earth, constantly thanking other people. And I know that's not technically a sport, but a lot of people will watch that. A lot of people will learn a lot from her. And I really hope she goes on to win it. I think she's fabulous. But being in the final for her is a win.
And the sports that you predominantly cover, I was looking through the sporting year thinking, I've always enjoyed kind of great rivalries in tennis, and I'm loving the Alcaraz-Sinner rivalry. And what I love as well is that we're going to have it for quite a few years to come. This is not a flash in the pan. It feels these two are going to be at it against
And I
each
love
other.
the fact that they are such contrasting characters. Sinner, very much like Bjorn Borg, very, emotionally controlled. And he works really hard, and he's super talented, and he's tall and lean, and he can reach for things, and he has this sort of stretchability, a bit like Djokovic. And Alcaraz for me is passionate, plays the amazing shots, and I love the
almost
energy.
An olé at the end of his shot.
And like, look at that, look what I just did, and he loves it. And they are the perfect pairing. I really enjoy that, and I think, lucky times in tennis. I thought Iga Swiatek's performance, obviously in the final at Wimbledon, was utterly dominant.
Although quite disappointing if you'd queued and waited for tickets for years for that final. I was there, and it was less than an hour. I mean, to double bagel in a final is just an awful experience.
But credit to Anisimova to come back and make the final of the US Open. And I thought also the interview that she gave on court was so brave, because it's a really, not every sport asks the runner-up to do that.
And winning in sport is hard, and this is it's so tough, and it's so tough to overcome difficult times and get back. And I think nobody gets to the top without having those bumps in the road, do they? So
no.
there's more to come.
There
was the World Athletics Championships this year.
Oh yeah,
but of course Great Britain didn't win a gold, and I think that's why there isn't an athlete on the list. Had Keely Hodgkinson or Georgia Hunter-Bell got over the line first, one of them would probably be.
But Mondo Duplantis is very much on the list again.
He's very much
international
continuation
world sport star.
And
he won it last year.
Yeah, he did, and probably will do very well again this year, I think, because for some reason, people really have a soft spot for him. I don't know, a pole vault of all the athletic
things,
disciplines.
but I love him. I think he's great, and I think they love the fact that he just goes up in tiny margins.
He'd probably go up in half a metre, but he's not stupid. He knows what he's doing there.
Absolutely.
So he's an athlete who obviously, again, has dominated. Melissa Jefferson of the USA, though, with her 100, 200 and relay as well, was an incredible performance. And then there's an athlete from New Zealand called Geordie Beamish, who you probably haven't heard of, who in the steeplechase, he was like on the deck, he fell over, as happens in the steeplechase quite a lot. There's a brilliant photograph of an athlete spiking his head, because, you know, he'd fallen down, he was being run over, gets up, gets himself into the final, and wins New Zealand's first ever gold on the track in a World Championships. And it's not just because I'm a Newcastle fan, Claire, that the name Geordie Beamish indicates to me his family have heritage from the northeast, and he wears black and white in New Zealand. But I just thought he deserved special mention because he literally got himself back up off the deck and won gold.
I'm going to make a steeplechase segue to Willie Mullins.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Having 1, 2, 3 in the Grand National. And the winner being ridden by his son Patrick, and Willie Mullins is, and dominated Cheltenham once again for the Irish, and just an amazing. He is an extraordinary trainer, but I thought that was really something.
And your personal sport, do you have anything that you've done this year from a sporting point of view that?
Oh God! Well, I helped a team drag a wooden horse up a hill in Celebrity Traitors, and then I pulled a lever too soon because I didn't read the
That was your sporting disappointment.
Yes, it was. It makes me feel empathy though for those that do something stupid. And on a serious note,
for the first time in your life, you've just realised.
No, I had that empathy before, but now I know how hard it is to do the right thing when you're physically stretched and to
make
think
a decision in that
moment, and to think clearly under pressure.
I like that it's taken the traitors to bring you to that. Joe Marler making the final, is that a sporting achievement as well? You know, is that up there with Karen? He's come from nowhere in terms of the the way he manoeuvred himself through that show.
And I think also what you do when you have that platform. Chris Hoy was talking about this so well, and I want to mention that his documentary is on straight after Sports Personality of the Year, so 9:00 Thursday night. He and Sarah have let the cameras in. Sally Nugent's done the most beautiful job. She is a really, talk about empathy, she is a really empathetic interviewer, and I think that will be incredibly moving. But Chris Hoy talked about when you have a platform and people are listening to you, what do you use it for? And Joe Marler will talk about, and has talked a lot about men's mental health. And again, going back to Karen Carney, having that platform and talking about self-belief and how you find your confidence again and how you let yourself be vulnerable almost. That's her superpower, I think.
And my personal, I didn't do very much this year. I did a big cycle around Ireland and stuff with Kenny, but through you, I got to enjoy Lois racing in the Magnolia Cup because she trained, of course, with Andrew, and Annalisa was so amazing as well. We went down and we did a sports agents down at
you did,
down at Kingsclear, and obviously she had such a great time there that she's still riding out for a yard near us over Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And so thank you for that. That was such a great day. Also, personally, loved watching my team, Newcastle United, win a trophy at Wembley, winning the Carabao Cup. Big Dan Byrne, the local hero on the day, and also this year for him getting into the England squad and everything else that he's done. Another
Hull KR in Rugby League.
Yeah, a great one. Arsenal's women winning the Champions League.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're all, amazing achievements. There's so much going on, they can't kind of all get on the list.
No, so the team, for the first time this year, the team prize is open to a public vote, and I'm really keen on this. I was one of the people pushing for it, I suspect you were as well, because I want the public to decide who had the most impact on them. So Europe winning the Ryder Cup, the Lionesses winning the Euros for back-to-back, trophies in that, and the Red Roses winning the World Cup. And you were there being mobbed by the team. I was up in the stands as a fan watching the final of the World Cup alongside women who had played rugby back in the day. And they were so emotional, even before the match kicked off, to see that stadium full and to see women's rugby union being taken properly seriously, and that so many people appreciated that, and for England to win it on home soil, I'm just so thrilled. That's a very competitive
I've been very, very lucky in my career to be at some incredible moments and achievements. I was almost brought to tears because I looked over and Maggie Alfonsi tears were dropping off her face, and I looked around and I looked at the crowd, and you could see those women even the ones that didn't have the kind of, the expensive seats and weren't being looked after by the RFU, but you could see those women who've looked to rugby as a sport they wanted to be part of, but, didn't have a way in. And it just choked me. And it was pure joy as well. There was this combination of real emotion and pure joy. It was just a day that I was grateful to be there and will never forget.
But it shows the growth of women's team sports, that there are 2 teams there in that final 3.
Interestingly, I was with Tracy Neville not so long ago, and she was saying, of course, the
netball has won it. They won Team of the Year after the Commonwealth Games.
But she's saying netball is finding at the moment that their athletes are being poached by these other successul team sports, because it used to be netball or nothing, didn't it, for our generation of young girls wanting to play team sports, because there was hockey, there's very little professional team sport. But because young, promising female athletes can play lots of team sports now, the ones that are offering them a route to career success, having an actual financial kind of earnings.
Cricket's another big one, because obviously with the 100, there's all the.
So netball's got a kind of recruitment issue where it's going, hang on, we need you to stay in this sport. But that's maybe a podcast for another day that we can discuss. A couple of listeners' ones. Shall I bring them to you now?
Yes, please do.
We've got a listener from Instagram called Claire, whose personal achievement was cycling across Switzerland. Joyous. I mean,
that's hilly.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to do.
I know, but that's hard, Gabby. That's really hard.
It is tough, Claire, yeah.
It's not like cycling across the Netherlands.
They're made of tough stuff, our listeners. Yeah. Rory winning the Masters, and my son's playing on the same senior rugby team for the first time, says Naomi. So, as a parent of kind of sporty kids, I know what she's on about there. It must be lovely seeing both your sons run out kind of on the same team, mustn't it? That's what the Curry family have all the time, don't they? And of course, the Barrett family of New Zealand know that feeling, don't they? There are so many more moments of the year that have been mentioned. Diogo Jota, of course, which we will mark tonight. His passing has been one of the saddest moments in sport this year, for sure, in terms of a whole city's grief and the impact on a team.
Exactly, and actually think about what Liverpool has been through, both with what happened at the Victory Parade and that case having just come out in court, but also I think Jota's death has really hit that team, and you sort of look at how long it's going to take for them to find the positive performance level, and of course that's what's affected Mo Salah as well. Of course it has.
Yeah, every individual, and we did a podcast just a couple of weeks ago where we spoke about that and collective grief, and how you can't time when you're going to have a wave of emotion, and actually Andy Robertson's interview when Scotland qualified for the World Cup, where he, talking about Diogo Jota, was telling, I think, in what should have been a real moment of joy for him. He was reflecting, and actually we should mention Scotland qualifying for a World Cup, because it's been a while, 1998 the last time, and that maybe moves us on just very briefly at the end of this lovely chat, Claire, to have a quick gander into 2026, shall we? You will be very much at the forefront of the Winter Olympics coverage.
Yes, I'm heading out.
So what should we all be looking out for?
Milano Cortina is where we're going, in Italy, which would be lovely. I'll be up in the mountains, covering the sliding events, which we historically have been very strong at, particularly Bob Skeleton. Thanks to Amy Williams and Lizzie Arnold, we've been very good in that department. Curling as well, we've been very strong. Actually, I'd love to mention Hull KR, who did the treble in Rugby League, and were the real sort of star team in so many ways, and great stories, great performances, and that is a rare thing to pull off.
Are you still president of the...
I'm not actually, no, I did 2 years, 2 years, and I did the World Cup.
But you still keep your eye on...
Keep my eye on it, I certainly do.
And then looking ahead to the Winter Olympics, which you will be front and centre of with the BBC, where should we be looking for British success, and what should we all become expert in over the next few weeks, so that we can talk with confidence about winter sport? Okay,
well, the names I think you need to know from a Team GB perspective for the Winter Olympics are Mia Brooks, Kirsty Muir, Zoe Atkins and Charlotte Banks. And they're all really young, and they are a combination of boarders and slopestylers, and they kind of bring a real performance level to what they do. And the Winter Olympics has changed so much. Yes, there are still the traditional, the men's downhill, the women's downhill are your major league events and blue ribbon events. But they've embellished it with the various sports from the X Games. So you've got these sort of high-end... so a bit like skateboarding coming into the Olympics. You've got your half pipe, you've got your aerials, you've got all this stuff, big air, which I love. And I really enjoy the combination of the events that might only take a couple of seconds, but they've got to be perfect seconds, so less than a minute. And then you've got the long drawn out curling, which you get totally engrossed in, and every shot seems significant, and it's all about patience and accuracy and sustaining performance over hours and hours and day after day. Big year for cricket as well. The Women's T20 World Cup is here in the UK.
Yeah, it is. And hopefully we'll have a lovely summer of cricket and they can pull some performances out of the bag, the England women's cricket team. It's not been going so brilliantly of late for them, has it? So lots to look forward to next year. You mentioned the Commonwealth Games. There's a European Athletics Championships in Birmingham as well. I mean, that's always a home championship always gets people going, doesn't it? And that
Queen's tennis is now women and men, and then obviously Wimbledon not long after that.
Yeah, and obviously loads more women's and men's football. I mean, there's just so much to sports. All the time, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's 24/7, 365.
I'm going to watch the darts all over Christmas and New Year.
Are you going?
I haven't yet secured a ticket.
Oh, I'd like to see a traitors table. I'd like to see you all go together.
There's a good shout. That would be fun.
Are you on a traitors WhatsApp group? Do you have
I'm not actually, no.
Oh, everybody else is. I'm joking.
No, they are. You're right.
No, I don't know anything about the traitors.
But yes, I would
Did you have that?
Stephen Fry's mad for his darts, actually. That would be really fun. He'd love to go.
Did you have that friends?
Joe would like to go, I think, and I'd love to go.
Friends for life experience?
Yeah, Ruth Codd and I stay in touch a lot. We're always in touch. And Celia I love. And I haven't seen Joe since. Is Joe coming to Sports?
I think Joe is just about the busiest man in the world right now.
Yeah.
No, he's not at Spotty. We do have we've got Henry Pollock coming tonight and Tom Curry. I'm interviewing Henry and Tom Curry and Marcus Smith as well. So we do have a rugby contingent in the crowd. I believe your nephew, under-20s England player.
No, because he's been called up for Gloucester and he's got to be... And I said to him, that's the life of a professional sportsman. You've got to go and do that.
Is he playing for Gloucester at the weekend?
No, because he's basically he's in rehab. He got injured and he's in rehab, but this is to make sure he can play after Christmas. So they've called him in every day this week.
So he's not coming.
I said, that's what happens. So
Shame.
middle nephew Toby's
So we've got
coming
another Balding coming down the track. It's good to keep our eye out for. So
Yes.
we have to go off and start our rehearsals.
Oh gosh, we do.
Yeah, we have to go get mic'd up, get ourselves on set, which is always an exciting moment, isn't it?
What are you wearing?
Gold. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably should have asked you this before I packed my one and only outfit, which I ordered online, and then I was really surprised that it actually fitted me. So I'm wearing it, and it's velvet. It's
Colour?
just teal, yes, it's teal velvet. But then I noticed there are like I don't know whether one of the cats scratched it because on the trousers there are like claw marks. But I figured nobody will notice.
So is it all teal?
Yes,
Complete
it's quite
teal?
bold trouser suit.
Gorgeous.
And then I'll get you to help me choose what colour I wear underneath it. I brought many options.
Okay, we'll
might
do
just
that
go
later.
like cream underneath.
My dressing room, they've colour coded them, is called teal. Would you believe? And it's an unusual colour to call a dressing room, isn't it? So I feel like we should swap. You should be in my room.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we will go rehearse and have a lovely time doing that. We hammer out our questions and work out what we want to say to our interviewees, won't we, a little bit later on as well, and then we'll be back here tomorrow for more rehearsing. And
I still get quite nervous, don't you, coming out in front of that crowd?
big responsibility.
Yeah,
I feel
it's the walk out at the beginning, and also last year you had to was it last year you dug me in the ribs, say go on, announce it, because we go 3, 2, 1.
You forgot to announce the winner.
I actually was about to forget to announce, and the winner is, please reveal, Chris. I think Chris Hoy was reading out, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Chris, can you tell us the name of the winner? But luckily, you do genuinely, like you knew when I was about to cough earlier, you do actually know me well enough to know she's forgotten to say this. I'll just give her a quick dig in the ribs. That's teamwork.
Exactly. It's a great night. It's one we both look forward to throughout the year, and I think the show will please people, hopefully. But remember, it's all down to you. You've got to have your say. So, don't be complaining on Friday if the person you wanted to win doesn't win and you didn't vote. That's what I say.
Exactly. No vote, no shout. That doesn't make sense, but it doesn't rhyme quite, but yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on, Claire, and hopefully you'll come back sometime next year and join us again, anytime you like.
Thanks. Let's go to the sumo with the Royal Albert Hall. That's what I'd like to do.
You loved that episode, didn't you?
Hadn't listened to the episode, but I like the idea of going to the... Sorry. Yes, I did.
Honestly,
Sorry.
Claire drank so much truth serum in the womb that she can't just do a little pretend for audio.
No. Go back to your very long... I hope you'll come back again soon.
I hope you're going to come back again soon.
I would like to go to the sumo with you at the Royal Albert Hall, if they'll have us. That would be great.
Let's book it in.
Okay.
I'm so using the first one.
The Sports Agents.
With Gabby Logan and Mark Chapman.